It's the beginning of April and you're wondering, do I put a super on? This is what we're doing. The rule that we normally go for is 8 frames. So if you see 8 frames of bees, that's when we go, okay, they're going to need some more room. Now, temperatures here, especially in the south of England, haven't been inspection level. Well, especially not for us. I have seen on forums that some people in the UK have done quick inspections. That's great. But for us down here, not so much. So what we're doing, we're looking at the bees, we're hefting the hives, we're making sure that they've got food. We've got the early spring flowers that are coming out, so daffodils, crocuses, I've seen magnolias, there's all sorts of blossoms. These are the early spring flowers, so the bees are loving it. They're bringing in pollen and nectar, so the honey flow has started. Now, we have had quite bad weather. We've had a couple of days where it's been a little bit of sun and the bees are out and foraging, but temperatures, we have had highs of 12, but there's been a breeze. So I haven't done inspections as yet, but we are looking at the bees at this stage to make sure that they've got plenty of room if they need it. Some of our hives are still taking down fondant. I'm leaving those alone because they're still building up. Some are slower than others. But for the strong colonies, we're going to be putting a single super on. The reason why we only do a single super is because the temperatures, they're not quite there yet. But this gives the bees enough room so they can actually expand and go up. You don't want to super too early. You want those bees to build out that brood box. And then once you see 8 to 9 frames, put a super on and then monitor them. But make sure they have food before you put any supers on. We like to heft the hives. If they're heavy, and you can normally see at the top of the frames without even pulling frames out, whether they've got stores. So by hefting those hives, you can get an idea of weight. If they're heavy, they won't need feeding anymore. You can put a super on. And that's what we're going to do now. So this is one of the stronger colonies. And we're in a 10 frame Langstroth. So I can already see we've got at least 8 frames full of bees. And this tells me they're going to need more space very shortly. I also heft the hive. So let's just lift it. So it's got some good weight to it. So I'm going to put 1 super on this hive, just to give them a bit more room. Let's take the eek off. What I might do before I put the queen excluder on is just clean up the top of the frames. That is so satisfying. So it's lovely in the sun. It's a really nice temperature out here, but there is a little breeze, so I'm not doing an inspection just yet. I'm just giving them a little bit more room. Queen excluder got a bit warped, but it'll be okay when the super gets on. There we go. Space these out. I'm using 9 frame supers. If you're wondering why we're using 9 frame, I will attach a video that kind of explains why we're going the 9 frame route for supers. Space these out a little bit. These are drawn, mostly drawn anyway, frames. Just for now. Even though the weather is fluctuating with temperatures, rain, wind, those queens are still laying, the bees are still building. So making sure the bees have room is very important at this stage, so keep an eye on that. And then we close these up. And that's them done.